Inside Biden's defiant Afghanistan response. During briefings, the president quizzed his team about how they could have misjudged the time it would take for the Afghan army to collapse, according to people familiar with the matter. He has also voiced dismay at the failure of Ashraf Ghani, the ousted Afghan president who fled the country on Sunday, to adhere to a plan he laid out in the Oval Office in June to prevent the Taliban from taking over major cities. Throughout the weekend, Biden had remained at the presidential retreat, receiving briefings on screens or over the phone while sitting alone at conference table. Advisors huddled separately to discuss when and how he should address the situation. When he returned to the White House midday Monday, many of his aides assumed he would at least spend the night. Yet almost as soon as Biden touched down in Washington, word went out that his stay at the executive mansion would be brief. After his 18-minute speech, Biden quickly decamped again for the mountains. As advisors worked feverishly on Monday to calibrate the president's speech, there was far less worry about the predictable criticism from Republicans than about how Biden's own words and calculations over the last several months had been so wrong. The three-day stretch put into sharp relief two of Biden's most marked political traits: a stubborn defensive streak and a fierce certainty in his decision-making that allows little room for second-guessing. Scenes in Kabul are way worse than Saigon. Inside the White House and national security agencies, there has been fierce debate over how the current catastrophe unfolding in Afghanistan came to be. Officials who have built entire careers on issues related to the country have found it hard to fathom the blunt end to the 20-year conflict. Never in the 7 months of Biden's presidency has the competence of the administration been so intensely questioned, with the president's defiant and defensive speech on Monday only fueling the concerns rather than working to allay them.
Still, the official stressed the administration was focused on looking forward, not looking back. Yes, our competence is being questioned, the official added. The only way to fix that is to stabilize the airport and safely withdraw Americans and our partners to the best of our ability. Biden's top aides have been candid this week in admitting they did not expect it to happen so quickly. It is certainly the case that the speed with which cities fell was much greater than anyone anticipated, Sullivan said Monday on NBC's Today. At the same time, Biden has been confronted with his own past statements downplaying the notion the Taliban would overrun Kabul and outright rejecting the prospect the US embassy there would be evacuated. Questions left unanswered. That stubbornness was on full display in his speech from the East Room, during which the president devoted far time defending his decision to withdraw American troops than acknowledging his administration's admitted miscalculations. While briefly acknowledging that the Taliban's advance and the collapse of the government took place more quickly than we anticipated, Biden made clear that his intent to end the war hadn't changed. "I am the President of the United States of America," Biden said. "The buck stops with me." Yet if that truly is the case, Biden left unanswered a myriad of questions about how events spiraled out of control so swiftly, saying only that the process of withdrawing troops had been hard and messy. He lashed out sharply at Ghani, saying the Afghan leader flatly refused Biden's advice on seeking a political settlement with the Taliban and was wrong on the strength of the Afghan military. "I know my decision will be criticized, but I would rather take all that criticism than pass this decision on to another president of the United States," he said in his speech. While he walked out of the East Room without answering questions from reporters, key members of Congress signaled their intent to get to the bottom of the crisis.
Mark Warner of Virginia, the Democratic chairman of the Intelligence Committee, said he and other lawmakers had tough but necessary questions about why we weren't better prepared for a worst-case scenario involving such a swift and total collapse of the Afghan government and security forces. "We owe those answers to the American people," Warner said, "and to all those who served and sacrificed so much." Doubling down. Since the moment he walked into the Oval Office 7 months ago, Biden was determined to see that his presidency would do what his three predecessors did not, end America's longest war. He surrounded himself with top advisors who shared that core belief, which now raises a question even among some Democrats about whether their loyalty kept them from taking seriously the warnings about the consequences of a swift withdrawal. In the White House, few advisors are closer to Biden than Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, both of whom have spent years working for him. They appeared on television this week to defend their boss' decision to end the war. Other advisors, including Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Gen. Mark Milley, have spent less time in Biden's orbit. When the president was weighing an Afghanistan decision in the spring, Milley was among the loudest voices advocating for a continued U.S. force presence in Afghanistan. Biden rejected the view, even as generals warned of the potential for a Taliban takeover. Whether it was a miscalculation, a failure of intelligence, or some combination of both, the president now faces a credibility crisis on one of his strongest calling cards: foreign policy. Officials say driving the president's thinking is an overriding belief that, like him, most Americans are tired of the prolonged conflict in Afghanistan. His advisors have been confident over the past months that the American public was behind him in his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan. An ABC News/Ipsos poll in July found 55% of U.S. adults approved of the way Biden was handling the withdrawal. In a May Quinnipiac University poll, 62% of U.S. adults approved of Biden's decision to bring home all U.S. troops from Afghanistan by September 11, 2021.
Some White House officials have also privately noted that as the country continues to battle COVID-19 and the economy shrugs off the lingering effects of the pandemic, events unfolding thousands of miles away are hardly at the forefront of Americans' minds.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe